The smartest guy in the world believes in Jesus Christ. In June 2025, YoungHoon Kim, a South Korean scientist with the highest recorded IQ on the planet at 276, publicly declared that Jesus Christ is God. The internet exploded. His statement went viral, triggering headlines, reaction videos, much like this one, and faith-based reels praising the world's smartest man for finally confirming what believers have said all along. So, what do we do with that? Well, first, let's talk about why this went viral and deal with the seduction of simplicity in a complex world. In a world where uncertainty reigns, climate collapse, political chaos, existential dread, religion promises answers. But belief has been increasingly challenged by science, history, critical thought, and people like myself. Then comes YoungHoon Kim, a once-in-a-generation intellect, claiming faith. Boom, the narrative flips. See, the smartest man alive believes. How arrogant are you to disagree with him? At this moment, it's not really about Jesus. It's about relief. Relief that belief has a brain again. Relief that someone that smart chose faith. But here's the problem. This is not an argument. It's an appeal to authority. This isn't evidence. This isn't logic. This is marketing. The fallacy: if someone with a 276 IQ believes in Jesus, then it must be true. The truth: IQ doesn't make someone immune to emotional needs, cultural pressure, social incentives, or flawed reasoning. This is a textbook appeal to authority fallacy, dressed up as divine confirmation. He's smart, so he must be right is the same as saying she's rich, so she must be honest, or he's famous, so he must be a good person. It just doesn't hold up. Another important note is that IQ is not universal understanding. Let's break this myth. High IQ measures your ability to identify patterns, solve abstract problems, and process information quickly. It does not measure depth of historical research, accuracy of theological interpretation, resistance to psychological bias, or mastery of ancient languages, culture, or religious text. In fact, many with high IQs are more likely to compartmentalize, holding contradictory beliefs in separate mental boxes without fully resolving the tension. Intelligence doesn't eliminate bias. Sometimes it just makes you better at rationalizing it. So why would he say this? There's several possibilities. There could be cultural influence. South Korea has a strong Christian presence. Faith is often socially rewarded. There's also the issue of emotional vulnerability. Even geniuses are human. Moments of grief, awe, or existential anxiety can push someone toward belief. And then even career or reputation. Perhaps he saw strategic value in aligning with the religious identity. Now, this is speculation, but worth acknowledging as a cultural phenomenon. And then, of course, there's also personal experience. Did he have a vision, a spiritual encounter, a near-death moment? None of these count as objective evidence, but they often compel belief. He said that he believes, not that he's proven it or that he knows in a way that can be tested or shared. Belief is not knowledge. Belief is not evidence. Belief is not a conclusion from expertise. Belief is a declaration of loyalty. But the real danger in all of this is belief by proxy. What's happening now is dangerous, not because YoungHoon Kim believes in Jesus, but because people are using his belief to borrow confidence without critical thought. They're saying, I don't need to study, explore, or question. I just need to trust the guy with the highest IQ. That's not faith. That's not reason. That's intellectual outsourcing. And if you outsource your thinking to someone else, even someone brilliant, you're not enlightened. You're just well-decorated in your ignorance. And well-decorated ignorance is still ignorance. YoungHoon Kim has the highest IQ in the world. That doesn't mean he's right. That doesn't mean you're wrong. And it definitely doesn't mean you should stop thinking for yourself. Belief isn't impressive because someone smart has it. Belief is only impressive if it holds up to scrutiny. And if it doesn't, then maybe the real intelligence isn't believing harder, it's being brave enough to be honest about the absence of answers. Now, in the second part of our conversation today, I want to spend some time exposing how smart actually works. Being smart isn't a universal superpower, it's a specific skill set. After someone hears the smartest man in the world believes in Jesus, the question they rarely ask is, what does it actually mean to be smart? That's where we flip the whole premise. I'm not just critiquing YoungHoon Kim, I'm using this moment to teach the public how to think better about intelligence itself. Let's elevate the conversation from controversy to clarity, which is really the whole point of this channel, is to help you move from curiosity to clarity. So what does smart actually mean? Let's redefine the word most people use way too loosely. Most people think smart equals right, but smart actually equals capable of processing certain types of information efficiently. Different models help us break this down. So according to Howard Gardner, there are multiple intelligence. Gardner proposed that intelligence isn't a single measure, but a spectrum. There is logical mathematical intelligence, which deals with science and pattern recognition. But there's also linguistic intelligence that deals with words, rhetoric, writing, musical intelligence, sound and rhythm, interpersonal intelligence, being able to read people, and intrapersonal intelligence, self-awareness, but even spatial bodily kinesthetic intelligence, and then even so many more. You can be a genius in one domain and totally unqualified in another. YoungHoon Kim might have exceptional logical or mathematical intelligence, but that doesn't give him automatic authority in theology, history, or philosophy. This frankly reminds me of the Dunning-Kruger effect. This psychological phenomenon is one that I mentioned in my first book called Insignificant on Amazon. It explains why those who know the least often think they know the most, and those who know the most often underestimate themselves. The twist? Even smart people can fall into this trap when they step outside their domain. Just because someone can build a quantum algorithm doesn't mean they understand historical Jesus studies, the socio-political evolution of religion, or the cognitive neuroscience of belief. Intelligence doesn't guarantee truth. It can just make your errors more confident. Now let's get to the gold. Epistemic humility means understanding the limits of your own knowledge. It's the mark of true intellectual maturity. The smarter you are, the more you should recognize what you don't know. I often tell people that intelligence is not knowing what you know, it's knowing what you don't know. So let's make it personal. The smartest thing you can do isn't believe what a genius believes. It's to question what you believe and why. Now, this is also a popular fallacy that I've been seeing at work over the past 2 decades. Let's give it a name: the smartest person fallacy. This person is smarter than me, therefore what they believe must be true. This fallacy outsources critical thinking, confuses authority with insight, and relieves people from doing their own work. The same way beauty doesn't make someone good, intelligence doesn't make someone right. And if you needed proof that smart can be wrong, look at history. We have Nobel Prize winners who supported eugenics, brilliant physicists who were racist or nationalist, high IQ cult leaders who convinced people to die for them. Being smart doesn't make you immune to error. Sometimes it just makes you better at justifying your errors. When I hear people say, the smartest man alive believes in Jesus, what I hear is, I don't understand the subject, but this guy's brain is bigger than mine, so I'll just trust his conclusion. That's not intelligence. That's surrender. Smart isn't universal. It's local. Being a genius in one area doesn't mean you're trustworthy in another. And if you're using someone else's IQ as a shortcut for your beliefs, then you're not actually thinking. You're just hoping that brilliance is contagious. Spoiler alert, it's not. My goal isn't to belittle intelligence. It's to liberate people from misusing it. This isn't about tearing down YoungHoon Kim. It's about exposing how we misuse prestige, teaching the difference between brilliance and bias, and equipping people to think for themselves. Respect intelligence, sure, but do not worship it. Even the smartest person in the world can and has been wrong, especially when it comes to faith. People want to believe that intelligence and belief are incompatible. So when a hyper-intelligent person claims belief in something as unprovable as Jesus is God, it creates confusion. How can someone so smart believe something so irrational? It's not a bug in their intellect, it's a feature of the human mind. Let's talk about compartmentalization. Compartmentalization is a psychological defense mechanism where a person separates conflicting beliefs or behaviors into isolated mental boxes so they can function without the discomfort of contradiction. It's the mind's version of putting up emotional drywall between two rooms that shouldn't share a wall. A person can use the scientific method at work, but believe unproven supernatural claims at home and never confront the conflict between those two worldviews. This is especially common in high stress or identity defining areas like religion, patriotism, or even family loyalty, where emotional meaning outweighs intellectual consistency. If you want proof of that, just watch the comments anytime that I mention that patriotism is just a manifestation of nationalism. So let's pull an example. Francis Collins, a brilliant geneticist, leader of the Human Genome Project, also believes in Jesus' resurrection, claiming it's the best explanation for the empty tomb. Anybody notice that workaround there? This is someone who demands reproducible evidence in the lab, but abandons that standard when approaching religion. Why? Compartmentalization. He keeps his faith and science in separate drawers, never forcing them into the same conversation. Another example is Ben Carson. Ben was a world-class neurosurgeon, believed the pyramids were grain storage based on biblical interpretation. That belief defies both archaeological evidence and basic logic, yet it didn't impact his medical skill because he compartmentalized medical truth in one box, biblical literalism in another. When people do confront conflicting beliefs, they experience cognitive dissonance, the uncomfortable tension that arises when their worldview starts to fracture under new information. Instead of resolving it by letting go of irrational beliefs, most people ignore the conflict, rationalize it, or double down on one side to protect their identity. Even geniuses are vulnerable to this because the human mind prioritizes coherence of self over consistency of logic. We don't believe what makes the most sense, we believe what makes us feel the most whole. Intelligence isn't immunity. It just means you're better at organizing your mental filing systems. And sometimes when two beliefs contradict, people don't throw one out. They just file them in different cabinets and pretend they don't touch. Now, here's a question for you. Ask yourself, and I'd love to see your answer in the comments, have I ever avoided confronting a contradiction because it would force me to change something I value? I'm not saying YoungHoon Kim is foolish or purposefully deceptive. I'm saying he's human. And even the most brilliant minds can protect fragile beliefs with sophisticated walls. Intelligence can solve problems, but it can also build better fortresses for our biases. And sometimes it's not how smart you are that matters, it's how brave you are with your own contradictions. So now let's spend some time unpacking the person's qualifications and what evidence did they offer. Because again, smart doesn't mean right, and credentials don't equal credibility everywhere. So what exactly makes someone the smartest? The claim that YoungHoon Kim is the smartest man in the world is seductive but deeply misleading. So let's break it down. IQ is a measure, not a verdict. YoungHoon Kim reportedly has an IQ of 276, a number that sounds astronomical, but IQ is not a gold medal for truth. It measures specific kinds of reasoning, especially spatial and abstract pattern recognition. It does not measure critical thinking across disciplines, accuracy of beliefs, resistance to indoctrination, or emotional intelligence or wisdom. Having the highest IQ on record doesn't mean your beliefs are immune to scrutiny. It just means your pattern recognition engine runs fast. But if the pattern is flawed, speed just takes you to the wrong conclusion faster. So having the highest IQ on record is not equivalent to being the smartest person on the planet. Smart is not a merit badge you wear into every room. It's a tool you sharpen in specific fields. And when you use a scalpel to hammer nails, doesn't matter how many PhDs you have, you're still doing it wrong. So what evidence did he offer? This is the pivot point of my entire critique. Did YoungHoon Kim offer scientific or historical reasoning, cite textual or archaeological sources, present a logical argument, or even provide reproducible data? Or did he just declare belief? Notice he didn't say, I've discovered compelling new evidence for Jesus. He said, I believe Jesus is God. That's not science, that's just a statement of faith. an emotional allegiance, not a rational conclusion. And if he did offer reasons, that would be our chance to analyze the quality of those reasons, show how they fail under critical scrutiny, and invite the audience to weigh the evidence, not the person. People crave certainty. They're tired of ambiguity. So when someone smarter than them speaks with confidence, they're relieved. Finally, someone who's both brilliant and believes. But relief is not proof, my friends, and authority is definitely not evidence. If the smartest man in the world believes something without offering new insight, new data, or new clarity, then all you're left with is admiration, not understanding. Again, my goal here is not to attack YoungHoon Kim, it's to dismantle the myth that intelligence automatically produces truth. Credentials matter, but only in the right context. IQ might make you fast, but truth still demands direction. And no matter how smart you are, if you're headed the wrong way, brilliance won't get you home. Now, I have to call out the ego. Intelligence is not immunity to nonsense. Up until now, we've unpacked the misuse of IQ, the public's misunderstanding of intelligence, the emotional mechanics of beliefs, and the fallacies people lean on when their ideas can't stand on evidence. Now we expose the real move being made here. Not just a statement of belief, but a subtle, manipulative weaponization of credibility. This is ego masquerading as insight. Let's name the real problem. I'm smart, therefore what I believe is smart. This is circular logic at its finest, dressed up in a lab coat. It doesn't matter how intelligent someone is. If they rely on personal prestige instead of public reasoning, they're not engaging the world honestly. They're performing. You can't use your IQ score as a trump card in conversations that demand evidence. That's not persuasion, it's intellectual posturing. This becomes especially dishonest when the person knows they're not offering anything new. No new argument, no new evidence, no meaningful challenge to establish critique, and still speaks as if they've settled the matter. When a so-called genius steps outside their field of study and expertise, makes sweeping claims about metaphysical reality, and offers no expertise, no evidence, and no epistemic humility, that's not genius, that's grift. Why? Because they're trading on reputation instead of scholarship. They're capitalizing on audience awe instead of contributing to honest dialogue. They're using smartness as salesmanship, not scholarship. And the audience isn't being invited into truth, they're being seduced into trust. This isn't an argument for Jesus. It's a celebrity endorsement with a Nobel Prize sticker slapped on the front. Just like we don't trust athletes to tell us what toothpaste to use, pop stars to tell us what stocks to buy, or billionaires to tell us how to live ethically, we should not trust high IQ claims as the stand-ins for theological, philosophical, or historical accuracy. If your best proof that Jesus is God is that a genius said it, then you don't have an argument, you have a marketing problem. Intelligence is not holiness. It's not a halo. It doesn't make you honest, and it doesn't make you right. And when you wave your IQ score like a badge that validates your theology, you're not reasoning, you're flexing. You didn't offer a new idea. You didn't challenge the evidence. You did not elevate the conversation. You just said, I'm smart and I believe it, so shut up and follow. And we've had enough of that in our pulpits, in our politics, and in our public discourse. So to my global audience, I say, be skeptical of brilliance that demands belief instead of offering evidence. Don't be impressed by IQ, be impressed by integrity. And when someone uses their intellect to sell you faith, ask who benefits from your belief. This isn't a war against smart people. It's a call for intellectual honesty and epistemic accountability, because the real measure of intelligence isn't just how fast your mind works, it's whether you use it to seek truth or just to protect your ego. Thank you for joining me in this conversation today. I hope I have said something that has inspired you, empowered you, and maybe even elevated you. I am always excited to have new followers, new subscribers, and new community members who are engaging with this conversation, who are engaging with this content, and more importantly, are engaging with this community ecosystem that we're building to play our little small part of changing the world. If you want to get connected with me and the work that I'm doing, Take a look at every single one of those links in the description. Every single one of them is gold and is going to lead you to different aspects of this vision. This is huge. I'm the founder of DLDD World Group, Discover, Learn, Develop, Do. And what I'm trying to do is build community as a service. I'm building an entire ecosystem of community. Whether you're looking to work on your personal growth, your professional growth, your relational growth, I'm building something for you. Whether you're trying to expand in your creativity and the arts, we're building something for you. Whether you're trying to expand in your capacity to sell stuff and build revenue, we're building something for you. I know many people have one thing that they're concerned about, but for me, my one thing is the whole thing. So I'm doing my best to build infrastructure and systems that give us a better way of engaging the world around us. And if that's something that excites you, if that's something that gets you curious, get connected. You can hit the tap in link to let us know where you are locally, and you might be surprised to find out there may be a growing hub in your area. You can enroll in BC 101, where you can learn more about the Bridge City Global Mission. Or you can sign up for my email list through dldd.us and get weekly updates from me and the team about all of the wonderful things that are happening. That's all I have for you for now, but thank you so much for hanging out with me today. And until next time, keep rising.